Hello, dear students. I may remind you that we are working on classical poetry for online courses. And in that module, we are recording different lectures here. And one of the lecture is on Chaucer, to the prologue to the Canterbury Tales, the very start of the poem that is on it. And I may also remind my students that in my last lecture, I had discussed half part of this poem and half will be discussed now. In that half part, just for the sake of revision, I may let you know that Chaucer described the month of April, and he told us about the effect of April on the birds and on the human being. And one of the biggest effect was that everybody wants to go to the pilgrimages. And now, when he had described all that, he goes forward in order to let us know what was the current condition. And here you need to take care of the realism, which Chaucer is famous for, that his realism will also be shown, and that is why he is here in this part of the poem trying to give the color of reality to his poem, although of course it's going to be a kind of fiction, it's a poetry, imaginative literature, but he is trying to lend reality color to his poem by giving different indicators. Let us see what these are. For example, Chaucer says, "Befell that in that season on a day in Southwark, at the tabard as I lay, ready to wenden on my pilgrimage to Canterbury with full devout courage." In these lines, we have 3-4 words. One is Southwark, that's tabard. Now, Southwark is the area, and tabard is the inn. I think everyone is understanding what is an inn. Inn used to be the hotels on the side of the roads, and there you could stay also. And at that time of Chaucer, you could give your horses food also and rest also. So that is why they were called inns. So one of the inns in Southwark is tabard. Chaucer says that he, in that season, what is that season? In the last section, we found that the season is that of the April. In April, he says, in the area of Southwark, in the inn of tabard, Chaucer says, as I lay. Now he comes himself forward and takes the credit of being the most important person when he uses the subjective I, that I lay there in that place. So this place may be existing in reality or not, but he is letting us know that these two names are there in that place, the Tabard Inn. And Tabard Inn, according to him, is a very beautiful kind of thing, and that is why he has come there. He tells us the purpose also why he has come there. Ready to wenden on my pilgrimage to Canterbury with full devout courage. He tells he was present there in order to go on a pilgrimage towards Canterbury. Canterbury is again a place where Thomas A. Becket, the saint, is buried. People also go there. Chaucer has also come here to go there. And he says that it's not simply the enjoyment for which he has come here. He says that he has come with full devout courage. That religiously he says, I'm very much devoted to my religion. And that is why I want to go there. And that faithful kind of representation of himself, by making so, he wants to indicate that he's a good Christian and he's the person who would love to go to the saints' places to say them thanks as well. So here, Chaucer is indicating not only the real places, but also his own style, how he wants to do with the things. Now he gives us certain details what happens in that inn. For example, he says, at night were come into that hostelry, well 9 and 20 in a company of sundry folk. Now, this is the most beautiful line according to me, because here he replaces the word inn or the tabard name with hostelry. You know, hostel, where people can stay, eat, and, play or take rest also. That is the kind of name he gives to that tabard inn, he says. And then in order to give color of reality, once again he uses the figure 9 and 20. So instead of saying 29, he uses the word 9 and 20, because it was a style in the past time, a classic style of counting the things, that 9 and 20, 2 and 20, 1 and 20, instead of saying 21, 22 or 29. He gives this detail in this way. And now you see this detail also takes us very close to the realism of Chaucer, because he's giving us an exact figure that there were 29 people. And these will be the very 29 people within the book he will be discussing. He says they were of sundry folk. It means they were not of one type. They belong to different groups of the society. Some were from education, some may be from church, and some may be from business class, and some may be from industry, or some may be laborers, or some farmers. So that is why he calls it sundry folk. And by saying so, he means to say that it was not simply the common rich people who would visit these places. He says that there were the common people as well who belonged to different parts of the society. They also wanted to go to these places. So in a way, the construction and composition of a society, he is telling us. And he says that by deliberation they have not come. He says, by adventure he fell in fellowship, that by chance or by because of the pilgrimage, they want to go to pilgrimage, that is why they have come in company. They were in fellowship, they were in company. And pilgrims were they all. According to him, they were holy travelers, that they wanted to go to the holy places for the sake of good of their soul, for the sake of good of their company, they wanted to go. This is a lot ironic poem, because here it's not simply the religious faith, the religious zeal, or the interest in religion which is driving these pilgrims to go there, to go towards Canterbury. It is their pleasure and enjoyment as well, because the plan is that on the way everybody will be telling a story, and that also will unfold in the end of this section of the poem. So everyone belonging to different sections of the society, they would go to Canterbury. And the word wooden ride, let me repeat the line, in fellowship and pilgrims were they all, that towards Canterbury wooden ride. Now wooden ride means that all these people were having horses. Some were having small horses, some were having large horses, but all these people were riding the horses. So in that way, he tells that these people's the famous mode or player mode of traveling was to ride a horse. So everybody was having a horse. If a man is poor, he may be having a weak horse. If the man is rich, he may be having a very strong horse. So in that way, the mode of travel has also been indicated by him. So now you can see how many details Chaucer gives us in a few lines. That he talks about the people of sundry folk, then he talks about who they were staying, and after that, what was their plan, how to go forward. Then he again reverts to the Tabard Inn. He wants to tell us what kind of rooms were there, or what kind of places, or what kind of environment was there in that Tabard. He says, the chambers and the stables weren wide, and well we weren eased at best. So two things he tells us, that the chambers or the rooms of this Tabard Inn were wide, were open, were not dark at all, were shiny, bright, airy, etc. And the stables weren't wide. Now students, what's a stable? It's a place for the horses, where the horses can be stayed. So as in the modern hotels, what is the facility of car parking? And you can park your car anywhere. By the way, in Multan, it's a difficult thing to do so. But in big hotels, it happens. So same was the condition in England of that time, that the inns had the parking spaces, but not for cars, because cars were not available at that time, for horses. So people put their horses also in those inns, where the horses were fed with food, they were given water. So in that way, it was not only a place for the man to stay, but also for the animals to stay, because animals used to be the part and parcel of the life of human being. So in this way, he talks about the inn, the Tabard Inn once again. And he says that this inn was so comfortable that we all were happy. The line for this purpose is, and well, we weren't eased at best. So at best, best you know is the third degree of good. That is why he uses this third degree to indicate that he was very happy, the people were very happy. It means he's praising the management of the inns of that time. He wants to let us know that whatever the situation may be in your country, but in England, these inns, as the Tabard Inn is being discussed, was not only good, but also beautiful, but also comfortable, not only for human beings, but also for horses. So that is the way he loves his country, and that is the way he brings this thing before us. And then he discusses his plan. After having described the inn also, and the people with him also, now he describes what is his plan. And in that way, he assumes the leadership role, because you will see just now, how does he assume the leadership role? He says, so had I spoken with them everyone, that I was of her fellowship a nun, and made forward early for to rise. He says, I was giving them the plan. He says, I've spoken to all these people one by one. Now this is a great thing that he talked to these people, in 29 people one by one. And he says that he told them that he was also one of them. He was also going on that pilgrimage. And he gives them a plan that we shall get up early in the morning to take our way there as you devise. This is the very word the students should notice. To take our way there as you devise. He says, आपको इस तरह करना है जैसे मैं कहूँगा. So in that way, he assumes the leadership role. He becomes a leader there. And that is the higher quality of Chaucer in this regard, that he assumes the leadership role. Or in a way, we can say not leadership. If not leadership, we can say that he was providing his services, that I am the one who will help you to get early in the morning, and after that I will be leading your way to go there. So it means means that he's going to enjoy his company. He's going to provide his services to the company. And in that, we become the part of that company. As that is the beauty of Chaucer's poetry. Then he proceeds further to close this part of the poem, that is the introductory part of the poem. He says, "But nathless, while I have time and space, ere that I further in this stale pace, methinketh it according to reason, to tell you all the condition of ick of him, so as it seemed me," right? So this is Chaucerian English. Are you noticing the spellings? Thinketh me Y, and in reason we have OU, and tell is tele, or YOU is like YOW, and in condition T is missing. So that is the style of Chaucerian English. We have a lot of modern English now, but Chaucer used to write in this English. So we have to keep in mind what type of English Chaucer was using. So he says that according to him, there was some time available to him because morning was still far away, and because of that, he will be able to talk to these people. He says he wants to tell them the plan. He spoke every one of these people and told them what he is going to say. And later on, he says that he will be describing about all these people. For example, and which they weren, and of what degree, and ick in what array that they were in. So this is what he wants to tell the people, that the company, 29 people were with him, what kind of dress they were wearing, or what kind of color, shape, face, body they had, and then what was their profession. All these things he wants to tell to the people. He says, therefore, he will be telling, first of all, this thing, because he says that he's got the time. No, he is seeking an excuse, because after this poem, we will not be given tales to the Canterbury Tales. Tales will not be given, but the introduction to the characters will be given. And that is why we are finding here that he's telling us the plan. That introduction will be there. And in the end of his poem, he says, therefore, and at a night then will I first begin. He says, I shall be telling first of all to the people, there was a night, and that night they will be describing. At this moment, I'm not telling you what is night, because for this purpose, you have to read the character of night. So Chaucer's plan is that he will be beginning with the night and later on coming forward. Let's repeat and conclude the poem by saying that this is the richest part of Chaucer's book, because in the first part, as I told you people, that he talks about the month of April, trying to prove the beauty of April, impact of April on the birds, and impact of April on the human beings. And now he comes forward to tell us about different spaces. One of the spaces, Tabard Inn. According to him, it was a most beautiful place. It was a very good place. And all the pilgrims had to stay there before going to Canterbury because the journeys were long and it took a lot of time. They wanted to eat food. They wanted to take rest. And that is why they were all present in Tabard Inn. He says the Tabard Inn was really beautiful inn, because it had wide rooms, it had the places for the horses also, and there was a possibility that they could take a lot of rest there. He says that he met these people, told them he was one of them, and because of that, he said that he wants to give his services. In a way, he wants to become the leader. So everyone would be following him where they are leading the way towards Canterbury. So while going Canterbury, what are they going to do? They will be telling the tales. This is not described here, by the way. He describes only one thing, that he will be telling the people with him, first of all, what kind of people were there. And when he talks about the kind of people, he will be telling us about the dresses of the people, about the styles of the people, how they walk, how they ride on the horses, and what kind of provisions they had with them, the food, for example, and then how would they talk. Even he would tell us about the way of style of talking of the people, and from their dresses, for example, how they look, I mean, which part of the social life they belong to. This he will be telling us also. And as he says that, he will be telling first of all about the night. So students can see in the book that there's a character of night also. But here this poem closes, as I have said. Now if you see that this is really a classical way of telling, Chaucer has used the writing style classical, English classical, description of the real spaces and places. That is also the part of the classicism, and the way grandeur and the style has been adopted. Irony is used by Chaucer. That is all including together characteristics of the classical poetry. So Chaucer is really a classical poet. When we read Shakespeare, we shall be trying to compare him in order to see what are the differences, what are the similarities. So dear student, this is all from my side today. Hope to see you in some next lecture. Thank you.